Welcome back to this episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. I am your host, Becky Nova, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 steps that you need to take to purchase a duplex now in 2024. This was actually how I got started investing in real estate. I think starting with a duplex is a fantastic opportunity. I think it's a great way to be able to start with a minimal amount of tenants and really get to understand what it's like to be a lady landlord and what steps you need to take not only to acquire that property to be able to scale, but also to understand exactly what it's like in that day-to-day living to make sure that you know what you need to do as you grow this portfolio and add more tenants into that portfolio. All right. So one of the very first places that you want to be able to start within our 5 steps here for purchasing a duplex this year is to assess your finances. It is really, really important to make sure that you are in that place where you can purchase a property. Okay. Now, there are so many different ways to get involved in real estate investing and to have different amounts of money to be able to do that. But it takes having that open dialogue and really looking at your finances and understanding where you sit, which will then allow you to understand which one of those processes you will need to undertake to purchase that first duplex. For example, you might be looking at your fund saying, hey, I don't really have a lot of money here. I don't think I really have that down payment. I really do not have my finances necessarily in order. That is going to put you on one track. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Second option is, hey, I have a little bit of money. Okay, I have some monies here that I am comfortable putting towards this investment. And option number 3 is really saying, hey, I'm in a place where I've saved. I understand my credit score is in the place that it needs to be. I did that work and I feel good being able to move forward saying that this amount of money, whatever that amount may be for you, can go towards that investment property. And I feel comfortable with that amount of money as an investment, as a risk, right? Those 3 tracks are going to put you in different places. Option number 1, where you're saying, I really just do not have my finances in order to necessarily purchase a property today. You really have 2 choices within that, which is kind of cool. Option 1 is to be able to say, hey, right now, focusing on my finances is the place that I need to be in. This was something that I had to do. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, I've shared my story multiple times where I had actually moved to Europe and started a tour company there and then expanded into Portugal. I bought a little bus that took people out to Portugal, was able to run them through. I had a bar out there. But unfortunately, I made some really bad decisions in that. And I ended up losing that business in Portugal and really kind of destroyed me financially. When I came back to the States, I was in debt. I had a horrible credit score. I still didn't really understand how finances or money really worked. And I needed to put myself in a position where I increased what my financial literacy was. And I think that was a very big part of what I was able to do to be successful moving forward was because I really started back down with fundamentals. You might be in that space that's saying, hey, I need to get some other things in order. So then that way I can do this on my own. And then that way I will make sure that my finances are in the place that I want to be. Option 2 is to use what's called OPM, other people's money. There are ways that you can actually be able to include other people, bring on partners, bring on investors that will be able to help you fund those transactions for your next rental property. Okay. So that's for those in group 1 that are saying right now, assessing my finances. I personally don't have the money necessarily to do it, but those are a couple options of what you can still do to get started. Maybe you're that person in the middle that says, well, I have some funds. I don't really know if they're enough, and I'm not really sure how to use them best. A great option there would be to do owner-occupied financing. Owner-occupied financing means that when you actually live personally in that property, you can actually put down less of a down payment than if you were an investor. That is a great opportunity for you to then live in that property. This is great for beginning investors. As I mentioned, this was how I got started. We call it house hacking. You live in one side of the property and you rent out the other side of the property. This allows you not only to get to know the property, what does it really take to be a homeowner? What's it like cutting grass, having to deal with snow? Where does that leaky faucet come in? What way do I have to jiggle the key when I open the door? All of those different things will help you be able to understand your property. And then you have that one tenant on the other side. That's a great way to be able to offset the cost of your mortgage. When I was able to do this, not only did that cover my mortgage, but I actually made a little tiny sliver of money every single month because the other unit was much larger than the option that I was living in. That actually covered our mortgage. That's a huge, huge feat to be able to not only live for free in New York, but actually to get paid to live in New York. Even if you can cut down your own cost of living from where you are now, this could still be incredibly beneficial and an amazing jumping off point for your real estate investing career. So option 2, look into then that owner occupied financing so that way you can keep your down payment at a minimum. For those that were in group 3, which were saying, nope, I did great. I have my finances in order. I have my savings in place. That's fantastic. But now it's time to think about what exactly you would feel comfortable in investing. Do you have your emergency fund? Do you make sure that you're covering for any type of vacancy, for any type of issues that are going to go wrong with the property, from any other improvements, maintenance, anything of that that's going to be needed? What you want to start to do if you're in that group 3 is to really say, what monies do I have that's going to go toward the down payment? And what monies are I going to need in reserves? Okay, so that's step 1, assessing your financing and understanding if you are in bucket 1, 2, or 3 that I just went through. Once you get that done and you understand your finances, now you can move on to step 2. This is where you want to start thinking about identifying your market. Now that you understand the monies that you're going to be playing with, understanding if you personally are going to be moving into this property, what those things are going to look like, you can decide what that's going to look like. What market are you going to look for? Is this something that's going to be in your local area? Well, if you're going to be moving into it, that might be something that you're saying, I want to stay in this specific space. Or you might be a little more adventurous and saying, I'm willing to move somewhere else. Or if it's an investment property and solely an investment property where you're not going to be living in it, this is something that you really want to decide, where is a place going to fit the goals that you have? What I mean by that is, are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for appreciation? What type of market are you going to be purchasing? What I think is amazing is that there are so many different markets. You can buy absolutely anywhere. You want to buy close to you, if you want to buy far from you. There are pros and cons to everything. And what I love about real estate investing is that what specifically is going to work for me, or what interests me, or what's going to meet my goals can be completely different than yours, but we can both be successful using those same principles, but yet having completely different paths to be able to get us to those goals. So in this, when you think about your market, the first decision is, are you going to be investing locally, or are you going to be investing long distance? Once you have that, the rest of the foundations can go around that. It is very important to really get to understand what that market is going to be like. What is their growth? What is their typical population? What are the rents that are going to be there? What are the housing costs? Once again, we want to make sure that we are matching this with our budget of what we were able to assign in step 1. What's amazing to me is that there are deals absolutely everywhere. Okay. Yep. I'm going to say it again. There are deals absolutely everywhere. So we don't have to get very bogged down in this idea of identifying a market, because there are great markets absolutely everywhere. There are cash flowing properties. There are good deals in all 50 states. Believe it or not, I'm not saying that all of them are landlord friendly, but you can absolutely find a good property, a good deal. I'm doing air quotes over here for anyone that's listening on podcast and not watching me on YouTube, but I'm doing air quotes over here because a good deal, there are good deals absolutely everywhere in all 50 states. So be focused on really if it's something that you feel like needs to be within your local area where you can actually drive to that property in a reasonable time, then you can actually go view it yourself. Or if you're saying, hey, I really want to go for the property in the market that's going to be the best for my goals, and I don't care if I ever step foot on what that property looks like. Once you get that, you want to go get pre-approved. Okay, this is a step that I feel like Lady Landlords get so anxious about. It's like we now all of a sudden are making it real, but we can't do things without pre-approval. Now that we assessed our finances and we know what we need to be able to purchase that property, and we match that with a market that's going to fit for our goals, get pre-approved. That honestly, to me, is kind of making it real. You're going to buy a property, get pre-approved. Okay. This is not something that we have to delay. I understand. I hear people all the time saying like, oh, but am I really at that step? If you are here listening to a podcast about the 5 steps to go buy your property, yes, pre-approval is one of those. You absolutely have to do the step. What's also important here is that there are so many different types of loans that you need to make sure that you're getting pre-approved for the right type of one, to make sure that really the financing that you're picking today is going to be the financing that you're going to be able to get all the way to the closing table with. For example, if you are doing an owner-occupied property where you want to put that lower down payment through, there are conditions to owner-occupied properties. So if that's the pre-approval you're going for, and if that's your strategy, if that's your plan to purchase this duplex, you need to get pre-approved and understand if that is an option and really get that verified by the lender that you're going to be working with. Okay. You've probably seen this group. I do have a financial cheat sheet where I actually break down, I think it's like 13 different types of financing, through traditional financing, creative financing. So if that is something that you want, make sure to come to the Lady Landlords Facebook group. I'm going to make a post actually if you've not gotten that financial cheat sheet. That really breaks down so you can understand which type of financing will match up with what you are looking for. But there are so many opportunities for duplex, for owner-occupied, for investment properties. Let's make sure to get you to that right financing. But getting that pre-approval is going to be so important because you need that to know that you're actually going to be able to purchase it and what your rates are going to look like. What are the terms of the loan that you are going to be bound by? Okay. So do not skip. That's why step 3 here, pre-approval, is its own step. It sounds so simple, but this really is where you're going from that place of, I want to buy an investment property. I'm thinking about it and buying an investment property. I might possibly buy an investment property. But once you get pre-approved, when you go through, when you say, okay, go check my credit, right? And that's now going to show up that somebody is checking your credit with that. Now that puts us in that place of commitment. Now all of a sudden we're in action taking space rather than just thinking space. Okay. That's why step 3 to me is so, so important. Once we get our pre-approval, now we move on to step 4, which is to build our team. What I think is fantastic about real estate is that we are, as Lady Landlords, the CEO of our real estate investment portfolio. We are the owner of our business, just like any other entrepreneur. But we get to use the experts around us to support us in those decisions. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to find the best realtor that I absolutely can. I'm going to make sure that I have the best lender that I'm working with. I'm going to make sure to go get the best home inspector, the best real estate attorney, all of those different people I want to make on my team. Now that we know where our market is, now that we know what type of loan we're using, since we have our pre-approval, now we can actually put that team together and really go and do that groundwork to be able to start finding that right deal for you. So putting that team into place is incredibly important. Make sure to vet those people. Okay. Always start with referrals. Once you understand you already identified your market in step 2, you should really be able to understand who are the players in that location. Who are really the names that everybody's using because they're best with investment properties or they're best with multifamilies, or that they really understand what an investor is looking for when they're doing a rehab or a BRRRR type project. When you're going through that identifying in the market, names are going to start to pop up for you. Now in step 4 of building your team, go through, vet those people, talk to them. Make sure to ask them questions and make sure to understand not only are you verifying their expertise, but also who they are as a person. I remember that one of the first referrals that I got way back when I bought my first duplex, I got a referral for an attorney. And I was told, hey, he's a little bit of an older gentleman, but he's absolutely fantastic. He's been in the industry for, 40 plus years. He was actually a local judge. So he has a lot of clout. He's very well known. He clearly understands what he's doing, has a lot of connections, very well known. It was really like a very interesting referral that I got to somebody that was just supposed to be kind of cream of the crop. Okay, fine. I'll never forget the first time I called him. And one of the first questions he actually asked me was if I was buying by myself. I said, no, I'm buying it with my then fiance, now husband. But he was like, oh, but you guys are just engaged. And I said, yeah, we, lived together for a couple of years. We'll be getting married next year. But yeah, that's who I'm buying the property with. He actually didn't feel comfortable taking me on as a client until we got married. He felt personally, and this is okay if this is your opinion too, but he did not feel comfortable representing people that would be living in sin in a house that they would be buying, and then therefore did not want to buy my real estate attorney. Now listen, totally cool. If those are your views, I absolutely get it. Those weren't mine though. So that was not necessarily a person that I was going to align with. That was somebody that was just not going to fit with really what I was building or what I was looking to do, because I really wasn't asking for personal advice. I just wanted him to represent me in a real estate transaction. The other thing actually that did not fit for me with him was he spoke really, really slow. That's really weird to me, especially somebody from New York. But if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, you know I kind of talk fast. I tend to be a fast thinker, fast mover, fast talker. Therefore, I needed somebody that can really keep up with this. And I was really afraid that I was going to be stuck repeating myself multiple times with him, or that he really wasn't going to be able to keep up with my pace, with what I needed, and honestly, my personality. So wasn't really a fit for me. Great referral, but that does not mean that I need to accept him if I didn't find that he was a personal fit for me. There are other people out there that you're going to be able to find that have a good expertise fit and also a great personality fit. Now, step 5, now that we're able to get our team in place, we have all of our players, we've done all of those steps leading up. Now, this is actually my favorite part. This is actually where we get to go shopping for properties. Yep. Analyzing deals is step number 5. This is absolutely catamount to anything a real estate investor has to be doing here. You need to understand your numbers, okay? I'm not saying you have to be amazing at math. I'm not saying that you have to be a math whiz. Trust me, there are so many deal calculators and real estate investing calculators on the internet. It is so easy just to plug in your numbers there. But a calculator and the numbers are only as good as what they mean when you look at them on the other side. What I mean by that is by saying, well, the rents are going to be this, or your mortgage payment's going to be this, or your utilities that you as a landlord have to cover versus the tenants are going to be these types of things. You need to understand what those numbers mean. That's where I feel like a lot of people really kind of get lost in that, is that they're saying like, okay, well, this is my cap rate, or this is my IRR. Okay, well, great. But is that a number that's important to you? Do I care about that number? Do I care if it's high? Do I care if it's low? Great, it's a 7. Okay, well, 7 good or 7 bad? Well, 7 might be good for me, but might be bad for you. So it's really important to get very clear on what good deal means to you, to what a good deal, what is the outcome that you're looking for from that property. For example, for me, what I have been looking for most of my time as a real estate investor was actually cash flow. That to me was my bigger priority. I've looked at appreciation, but that really has been kind of my secondary value. Cash flow was really most important. I wanted to leave my day job. I did not want to be working a 9 to 5 anymore. I wanted to make sure that I had money coming in every single month to be able to cover what my bills were going to be. And it started as just, let me see if I can live for free. Let me see if I can get my bills paid for. Let me see if I can get my vacation covered. Let me see if I can then upgrade now my lifestyle by bringing in extra cash flow. I've always looked at that appreciation as kind of that secondary criteria because I am in this for the long haul, right? I will still be alive when mortgages are paid off. I will still be young when mortgages are paid off. So I really want to make sure that those properties are still in that appreciation space. But cash flow has really been the thing that was more of a driving factor for me. You might be somebody on this call that's saying cash flow is all that I want. That's all that I'm looking for. That's absolutely number one for me. And that's the only one for me. And there might be somebody else on this call that says, hey, I'm actually looking at this really as a long game. I don't necessarily need money today, but I want money in the future. So that might be somebody that's really looking more for that appreciation. You need to get clear on what numbers are going to be valuable for you. I personally have my number that I say, hey, unless it's bringing me that cash flow per month from each door that I'm purchasing, that's really just not going to be a fit for me. And honestly, that number changes on different properties and as my real estate investment and as my salary really increases. So we have to get an understanding of not just what the numbers are to be able to plug into a deal calculator, but what's incredibly important is to be able to understand what those numbers look like and what they actually mean behind the actual number. So I do have another podcast all about the numbers of a property. So do make sure go back and listen to that episode. I break down and literally walk you through how to analyze deals. So if you have not listened to that, make sure to go back to the Lady Landlords Podcast. Make sure to go listen to that episode. So that way you can start to get familiar with all of the different acronyms that we use, but also what the numbers mean behind it. Because now, after you've completed those 5 steps, you can go out there and start making offers for your duplex that you're going to be buying now in 2024. So if you have any questions or need any support with purchasing your duplex, please do make sure to put your questions down in the comments. I am here to help answer them. Come over to the Lady Landlords Facebook group. You can also reach out to me there, make a post, and let me know how I can help you. We are a community supporting other real estate investors purchasing their properties, and that's what we're here for. So come on over, let us know what support you need in purchasing your duplex in 2024, but really happy to give you these 5 simple steps of what you need to do to get moving today. Thank you very much for joining me for today's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Please do make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. And also make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Reviews, they actually help other women find our podcast to be able to get the support that they need. So take 2 minutes, leave a 5-star review to really just do something great for another lady landlord out there today.
Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords Podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlords.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a lady landlord today.